Hello everyone, welcome to the Fear Files. Some places hold echoes of the past, some whispers never fade, and some doors should never be opened. It started as a quiet night, a group of friends, a crackling fire, and a creeping sense that something was off. Then came the calls, the knocking, the whispers that weren't coming from their phones anymore, but from inside the house. What happened that night would haunt them forever. But the worst part? It wasn't over. Not yet. Because when the unknown comes knocking, sometimes it never leaves. My name is Ethan, and I live in a quiet town surrounded by endless fields and thick forests. Life here is simple. Peaceful, at least it used to be. One cool autumn evening, I invited my closest friends, Olivia, Ryan, Hannah, and Jacob, over for a small gathering. The air was crisp, and the scent of damp leaves and distant chimneys filled the night. My house sat on the outskirts of town, where the fog rolled in thick after sunset. That night, the mist was especially dense, curling around the trees like ghostly fingers. Inside, the fireplace crackled softly, and the scent of spiced cider and freshly baked bread filled the air. By 8 p.m., everyone had arrived, and the evening was unfolding just as planned. We sat around the living room, wrapped in the warm glow of candlelight, sipping cider and reminiscing about old times. This is exactly what I needed. Olivia sighed, stretching on the couch. Work's been insane this week. Well, lucky for you, I made enough cider to last the whole night, I said, pouring her another cup. Jacob smirked. Ethan, you act like we're going to be here all night. I shrugged. You never know. Ryan chuckled. Hey, as long as we're not telling ghost stories, I'm good. You know, I hate that stuff. Hannah laughed. Oh, please. The guy who watches every horror movie ever made is scared of a little ghost story? It's different when it's real, Ryan muttered, taking a sip of his cider. We all laughed, but at that moment, something changed. A cold breeze swept through the room, though all the windows were closed. The fire flickered, and then a sudden deliberate knock echoed through the house, slow and heavy. Thud, thud, thud. The laughter died instantly, and an eerie silence filled the air. I frowned. Was anyone expecting someone else? Everyone shook their heads. I walked cautiously to the front door and peered through the peephole. A tall man stood motionless on my porch, his face hidden beneath the brim of an old hat. His posture was stiff, unnatural. My stomach clenched. Who is it? Hannah whispered from behind me. I don't know, I murmured. Some guy just standing there. Ryan frowned. Maybe he's lost? Hello? Can I help you? I called through the door. No response. Another knock. Louder. Harder. Thud. Thud. My fingers hovered over the lock. Jacob stood up. Dude, just open the door. Something in my gut told me not to. I don't think I should. Silence. I slowly cracked the door open. But the porch was empty. The fog stretched into the darkness beyond. My pulse pounded in my ears. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw him. The man was no longer on the porch. He was standing at the edge of my yard, half shrouded in the fog. He hadn't walked there. He had just appeared. Jacob cursed. What the hell? Close the door, Olivia whispered, her voice tight with fear. I slammed it shut and locked it. Something's not right. Then Jacob's phone buzzed. Olivia's, Ryan's, Hannah's. One by one, all our phones lit up. Unknown caller. Jacob hesitated before answering. Hello? A whisper slithered through the speaker. Let me in. He paled. What the? He threw the phone onto the table like it had burned him. Ryan's phone vibrated. His hands shook as he put it on speaker. Let me in, the voice repeated, low and drawn out. It didn't sound human. Then knocking returned, but this time it came from every door and window. Thud, thud, thud. This isn't funny, Hannah said, her voice rising in panic. This isn't a prank, right? Who the hell would be pulling this off? Ryan snapped. No one's outside. The knocking turned into scratching, fingernails dragging along the walls. Then the whispers began. They weren't coming from the phones anymore. They were coming from inside the house. We all froze. The air thickened, pressing against our skin like an invisible weight. The fire flickered violently, casting warped shadows along the walls. Then, footsteps. Upstairs. There's no one up there, Jacob whispered, shaking his head. A deep thud rattled the floorboards. Something heavy had fallen. Ryan clenched his jaw. If something's in here, I'm not just sitting here waiting. He grabbed the fireplace poker. I'll check. I grabbed his arm. Are you insane? But Ryan was already stepping toward the stairs. We followed, our breath tight in our throats. The hallway was shrouded in shadows. My bedroom door was slightly ajar. It hadn't been before. Ryan pushed it open. Nothing. Then, a whisper. We spun around. The hallway light flickered. Jacob swallowed hard. I think we should get out. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, everything fell silent. For minutes, none of us moved. Finally, I peeked through the curtains. The fog had lifted. The man was gone. We stayed together the rest of the night, unable to sleep. Every creak, every gust of wind sent waves of terror through us. When morning finally came, we tried to laugh it off, but we all knew something had changed. Jacob exhaled. That was the worst night of my life. But it wasn't over. Days later, my phone still rings at night from an unknown caller. Each time, I let it go to voicemail. But I already know what the message will say. Let me in. And last night, long after midnight, I heard footsteps outside my bedroom door. They stopped. The air grew ice cold. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Then, slowly, the handle of my door began to turn.
For more videos, please subscribe.